A story that initially only emerged from a comment on social media suddenly became a topic that shook the BTS fan community around the world. An army man with a previously unknown account wrote a confession that was so honest, so touching, that not only did the other fans burst into tears, but reportedly also made Jungkook and Taehyung stay silent for a long time reading the contents of his message. In such a fast-paced world, full of schedules, stages, and lights, the simple words of a fan can break through the walls of fame and touch the hearts of two men who have long lived behind the glitter of the entertainment industry. The confession began with a simple sentence: "I'm not the perfect army, but you saved my life." It may sound familiar to some, but for Jungkook and Taehyung, two figures who always try to present themselves sincerely in the midst of tremendous pressure, it feels like a reflection of their long journey. Army later wrote how he was at the lowest point of his life, losing direction, losing spirit, even losing the will to go on with his day. She recounted that one night, when everything seemed dark, she listened to Jungkook singing "Still With You," and for some reason, her tears flowed uncontrollably. "I didn't know who was going to save me, but that night, your gentle voice reminded me that I was still alive," she wrote. The story then spread across social media and quickly went viral among fans. Many felt connected. Many shared their own stories of how BTS's music, especially the presence of Jungkook and Taehyung, helped them survive. But what not many people know, this confession really reached the ears of the two members. According to a source close to the BTS team, Jungkook read the post through one of the big fanbase accounts. It doesn't just read once. He read it over and over again, even showing it to Taehyung as he said quietly, "Look at this, Tae. I didn't know we could make this much of an impact." Taehyung, with his trademark soft expression, reportedly stared at the screen for quite a while. "We just want to make honest music," he said in a low voice. But it turns out that honesty can save a person. That moment, according to the source, left both of them silent for quite a long time in the training room. There were no words spoken, only a meaningful silence, as if they realized that their journey was no longer about fame, but about the hope they brought to those who believed in them. A few days later, in a live broadcast that Jungkook did on the Weverse platform, many ARMY noticed that he seemed more emotional than usual. He smiled, but his eyes seemed to hold something deeper. When one of the comments mentioned the viral ARMY confession story, Jungkook paused, looked at the screen, and said quietly, "I read that. And I want to say, we're human too. Sometimes we get tired, sometimes we lose our way. But when I read something like that, I felt like our lives weren't wasted." That sentence made thousands of fans who were watching immediately burst into tears, because for the first time, Jungkook was talking about something so personal, so real. Meanwhile, Taehyung also mentioned something similar during a short interview behind the stage of his concert in Japan. When asked what was the most memorable during that year, he replied without hesitation, "Someone wrote that our song made him want to live. That's no small thing. I think it's the biggest award we've ever had." The reporter who heard the answer was silent for a moment, because behind the calmness of his voice, it was felt how deep the meaning of every word Taehyung said. This story went on to become a symbol of the invisible connection between BTS and ARMY, a relationship not built from mere music or fanbase, but from mutual understanding of wounds and healing. Many other armies began writing similar stories. How their struggle to survive was often aided by songs like "Magic Shop," "Zero O'Clock," "Your Eyes Tell," and of course, the soulful solo work of Jungkook and Taehyung. They are not just idols. They are distant friends who are present unnoticed in the quietest moment. On the other hand, the Korean media began to highlight the emotional side of this relationship. One editorial wrote that perhaps this is the reason why BTS, especially Jungkook and Taehyung, have been able to survive in such a harsh industry all this time, because they have never stopped listening. They never really separate themselves from the people who support them. Every letter, every comment, every tear from fans, they read, they feel, and sometimes they cry silently. That a staffer who had worked with Jungkook told how he often saw Jungkook replay fan project videos at night. He wasn't just watching, he was paying attention to the faces of the people in the video. Sometimes he says, "I want them to be happy," in a low voice, she said. This kind of attitude shows that for Jungkook and Taehyung, ARMY is not just a spectator. They are part of the same journey of life, healing each other, upholding each other when the world feels cruel. The viral ARMY confession has now become more than just a personal story. It turns into a collective reminder that behind every concert cheer and every song released, there is an inexplicable interconnection with logic. Jungkook and Taehyung don't just touch people's hearts. They have become part of the struggle of many souls out there who continue to fight to stay alive and love themselves. A few days after the confession went viral, the ARMY account wrote back a short message. I didn't know they were going to read it. But if they really know, I just want to say, thank you for making me want to live. The message received thousands of replies, and among them, one official comment from BTS's account wrote briefly, "We also thank you for staying here." There is no signature, no symbol, just a simple but shaking word. A sign that the connection is real, that between the stars and the earth, there is a small bridge called honesty that connects hearts. Now, whenever Jungkook and Taehyung stand on stage and stare at the purple sea in front of them, maybe they remember that one story, the story of an ARMY man who, to be honest, changed everything. Because sometimes, it's not the song that saves someone, but the sincere love behind the song. And that love is now the reason they continue to sing. That night, after Jungkook's live broadcast ended, thousands of comments flooded the Weverse platform and Twitter, X. The words, "Thank you Jungkook and Taehyung," are trending in more than 40 countries. But it's not just a trend. There are different nuances. The ARMY isn't celebrating a new song or BTS's big achievement. They talk about something deeper, about the honesty, pain, and strength that they find in the figures of two young men who grew up together on the world stage. Many rewrote their personal confessions, and in every story, Jungkook and Taehyung's names are always mentioned with great love and gratitude. One of the most viral comments wrote, "I know they never saw me, but every time Jungkook smiles, it feels like the world is giving me a reason to try again." Another comment wrote, "Taehyung doesn't need to know who I am, but his voice already hugs my fractured soul." Such words echoed across the platform and served as proof that BTS is not just a music group. They are safe spaces where many people find the courage to love their own lives. Taehyung once said in one of his interviews in America, "We can't save everyone, but if one of our songs can make someone smile today, that's enough." Those words now feel like a small prophecy that was finally realized through this ARMY confession. Jungkook, on the other hand, is known as a figure who rarely expresses his emotions directly.